Hello, CIS students. I want to, this is not an assignment, it's just a regular lecture, and you don't need to do anything. I just want to give more information about Microsoft Access. As I said, this is not an assignment, it's a short video. Some of you, we covered one module of Access. This is from module 2, and as you know, I have not assigned, in terms of any homework or something. Just, it was a video you all did and you did well. Therefore, it's just to give you more information. And here is, I want you to look at this database. I click on it and it appeared in module 2. And there is, these are the tables here. There is a table here, is like appointments. It's just like a doctor appointment, but it is an office. Here you go. I click on it, and it is about veterinarians. That there are two of these, veterinarians. One of them is William Blake, and one of them is like Teresa Gomez, and these are their office numbers. One of them lives in Colorado, and one of them lives in Utah, and that's their email. That is, you imagine that it is an organization that, people bring their pets. Here you go, patients. These are the pets. Imagine that we have patient's name. One of them is Paws, one of them is Ranger, one of them is Fluffy, and these are the breed, and these are the animal type. And then these are the owners of these, there are two owners. One of them is Ted, Sabas. These are different tables. Think about it as a regular, office, a treatment office. And then there are appointments and treatment costs. When they bring these dogs or the, cats, they bring it, and, we imagine that we use a kind of spray. We charge $35. We use, wellness exam, we charge $20. And then these are the appointments that we have. Suppose patient ID F1. F1 is one of those patients. Here you go, F1, I'll tell you. We have F1 and C2. Look at here. One of them is a C2. One of them is F1, for example. Another one is C1. These are three patients, therefore, what happens is that I want to show you, imagine that one of the doctors, which is here, veterinarians, whose, code is G01. You see this G01, her name is Teresa Gomez. She wants to know what kind of appointment she has. We click here, and we do not know yet, what kind of appointment, therefore, we call on appointments, and then we create a create query wizard, and I click OK, and I click this icon, and I click finish here. And that is a query is created for the appointment. It's right in here. Then I go to Home tab, and I click View, and I click Design View. And then here I will go, and there I see which one is the criteria of veterinarian has a code that is G01. Do you remember I showed you G01? G01, and I run it, and I tell this veterinarian, which was Teresa, I say on 8/23, for example, 2001, this is the patient C1, and the patients, will come at 10 a.m. Therefore, that's how we use the queries. And now I show you another way of researching. These are the owners of, those dogs and cats, and this is their information, which state they live. And imagine that we know that, suppose we know one of them is living in Utah, one of them is in Colorado. And suppose suddenly a secretary would come and say, oh, there was an owner that was in a state that started the state with U. Do you see Utah states with U? You do not know which owner was it. We know that it was Stephen, for example. Therefore, what you will do, you will go here and create, and you click on Query Wizard, and you click OK and make sure owner is here. You bring everything here and you click finish. Now, as you see, this is the owner query in here. When we have the owner query here, we come here, view, we call design view, and we say that the state of the owner started with a capital. Here you go, U and something, because Utah is U and T. U and a star, which is called the wild card, means the state started with U. Why this is, and then I will run the query, and we say, oh, that was Stephen, why this is a good way of figuring out is think about it as a real hospital, for example. A person comes and say, the person who was in my office in the hospital told me that he or she had a blood type of, B something, B plus. Therefore, you come and under blood type here, you type B, and because plus, imagine you don't know it was plus or minus, you put a star. That means it is the blood type started with a B and something after B. That's why you use a star and you run it. That way you can find everybody with a plus, the blood type B plus. Therefore, that's the way you do. Or let's say in another example, for example, let me run this one for now. And it didn't because we didn't have anything called the owner state started with B. You know that it started with Colorado, I think, and Utah. Therefore, you learned about this kind of query. Now let me show you another one. Imagine that a postal code. You say that the postal code was it started with 813. Therefore, you come here and put 813. And then you put a star. That means a star means it started with 813. If it ends with 813, instead of putting this star here, you put it at the beginning. And now you run. And here is the person that is the owner that his or her, zip code started with 813. This is, imagine, just like the same thing we did with the case of, do you all remember in the case of FBI, database we created? We said the person had some characteristics, maybe the tag number of the person who was involved in robbery started with 813. Therefore, that's how we do and again, we go to our design view, and again, we will delete this, okay, after deleting this, again, we go to for another something. Imagine that sometimes you go and enter some data in some things, and the data you enter is correct. The computer comes back and tells you that, hey, you made a mistake. You want to tell the people that either type Utah, UT, or suppose for Colorado, CO. And then you close this bracket. And then if you run it, do you see a screen pops up and tells either, type either UT or Colorado? You have seen this screen in many occasions when you go online to fill out a form. You make a mistake and the computer comes back and tells you, oh, you made a mistake, correct it. Therefore, that is how this, works. And now I go ahead and create another query for the cost treatment. Then here is the cost, and I'm going to create a query for it. Here you go. And I click OK, make sure treatment cost is here, and then you click next, and finish. And you see here, there are the costs here. Imagine one of the doctors is going to ask you which one of the treatments cost $25. Do you see there are some treatments at $25 here, $25 here? You can run a query. How can we do that? Here is, I ran the query here, treatment cost, or if you want, I can show you. Maybe I did run it. And then here is treatment cost, and create, and then query. And then I click here. I think we did it. We bring everything here, and we click next, and finish. And one of the doctors said, which one is $25? You go to, for example, home to your design view here, and you click design, and it says treatment cost is how much criteria. The criteria is $25, which means you run it, you will find all the, criteria, all the treatments that are $25, therefore, or if the doctor tells you what treatments are more than $25, then you can put a greater than $25. Do you see that? Therefore, you can use this, things to, run your query. And then you come here, and while you are, on this screen, you will use, for example, this is the treatment cost, and then I double click on it. This is the treatment cost. I can, or I can click on treatment query, and here it is. And let me click on, and then imagine one of the doctors asks you, I want this to be in the form of descending or ascending. That means the expensive costs might come in at the bottom, and the ones that are, less expensive to the top. Therefore, here we go sort. Cost, I come here, cost by what? Ascending. And then I will run the query. And do you see here the $10 came at the top? Oh, and the small ones. Why? This is a great thing. Imagine it can happen in the hospital. Imagine that, for example, as a teacher, I want to see the grades of the students in the ascending format. Or a business might say, I want to see how much this, the customers are paying. Each customer is paying us in ascending format. Therefore, these are great queries that if you are using, the database, you can use, and now you have some ideas why suppose hospitals are supposed to rely in database. Why we at the college rely on database. We want Imagine to give prize to the award to some students who have the highest score. We go and use the same concept, look at the score and want it in terms of ascending or descending. Therefore, this video was just for your information in case, because I had promised you to, make a short lecture about, another issue. If you have any questions, as I said, this is not an assignment. It's just a lecture about database.